they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen. But she shouldn't be there anyway. She should be, I would say, North Carolina is bad, is so bad. And
she was there today for 3 hours, I believe, Kamala Harris.
But more importantly than that is they don't have the people. They're not doing it. It's a very bad thing.
How would you do it differently?
I'd have a tremendous team of people here. They don't have any people here. The people are all, I was in North Carolina yesterday. I was in Georgia. And Georgia's different. You have a good governor. He's doing a very good job. But North Carolina is a disaster. And it was also hit very hard. But they don't have the people. And they're complaining there's no people around to help. That was a horrific storm.
When Laura Ingraham fact checks you on air, you might have lost the plot. Now, for the sake of making some small effort to correct some of the deluge of disinformation put out there by Donald Trump, here are the facts. On the issue of $750, $750 is the first grant given by FEMA. It is intended to get you money immediately so that you have instant cash to buy necessities like food and drinks and diapers and formula, toiletries, medicine, things like that. The amount is the same for everyone. It's also an increase, by the way, from the $500 of initial funds that was distributed during the Trump administration. From there, FEMA is meeting with those impacted on an individualized basis to determine how much to allocate for repair costs, which goes up to a maximum of $42,500. The Biden-Harris administration has also approved a 100% federal cost share for emergency response activities in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina. So when Trump tries to pretend that all you get is $750 to make you whole, he is lying. And considering his administration's FEMA did the same thing with $500, he knows better, but doesn't care. Trump then goes on to claim that Kamala should be in North Carolina, to which Laura Ingraham replies that she is literally in North Carolina. You see, his goal is to make the rubes who believe him think that Kamala Harris doesn't care and never bothered to show up. But at no point in his rambling screed did he bother to inquire as to whether anything he says is actually true. He simply makes up and says whatever alternate reality he needs to say to make her sound bad and him look infallible. Rinse and repeat. But then the kicker. Trump was asked what he would do differently. First off, you'll notice that Donald Trump attacks the governor in North Carolina while praising the governor in Georgia. You want to know why? Because North Carolina's governor is a Democrat and Georgia's governor is a Republican. Let me make this as clear as humanly possible. Trump doesn't know what's happening on the ground. He doesn't care what's happening on the ground. His goal is to attack Democrats and praise Republicans because he's got an election coming up and his freedom, literally his freedom, depends on winning in November and his party carrying him to victory in November. So he will use every occasion, making every minute, every second of the day worthwhile to attack Democrats and praise Republicans because all he has is a hammer and everything looks like a nail. Trump politicized this hurricane faster than his escapade with Stormy Daniels, and he continues to do so on a daily basis. He goes on to claim, quote, "They don't have any people here," referring to the Biden-Harris administration in terms of who's there to help. In reality, the White House has directed the Defense Department to deploy up to 1,000 active duty soldiers to support response efforts. In all, more than 5,300 federal personnel are on the ground supporting the response. More than $20 million in individual assistance has been provided to households of survivors. FEMA has shipped over 9 million meals, 11 million liters of water, 250,000 tarps, and 150 generators, all of which is to say, the notion that the government isn't responding is a lie peddled by people who are looking to help themselves politically. And don't take my word for it, take the word of these Republican officials.
I just spoke, the president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, "Hey, what do you need?" And I told him, you know, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
We have been, Sean, I have to say, working well with FEMA. They, in fact, were moving very quickly over the last few days for us, and getting these resources has been critically important.
I'm incredibly appreciative of the rapid response and the cooperation from the federal team at FEMA. I've been on the phone over the weekends with the senior FEMA administrator. The team has been deployed. We had our declaration of emergency processed in an expedited way over the weekend and was finalized yesterday.
I too want to thank the entire team. I mean, our communities, our citizens in the communities are certainly very resilient, as the governor stated. Our private partners, volunteers, I mean, obviously our local, our state, and our government, and our federal government all working together. Just a lot of hard work going on just across the state. This storm left a tremendous amount of devastation, but the response efforts by all involved have been phenomenal.
As of today, what has been the ongoing kind of federal assistance for South Carolina?
It's been superb. We're getting assistance, and we're asking for everything we need.
They're doing a great job. There can always work harder. There's always kinks in the slinky. We're working them out behind the scenes.
And you see this rush of local officials, FEMA, from the federal to the state to the local emergency management agencies, local county mayors with tears in their eyes out there serving their people.
We're grateful for the quick actions and close communications that we have had with the president and with the FEMA team.
So to President Biden, thank you for coming. Thank you for paying attention to our needs. I think we've had good working relationship between the federal government.
So on one side, you've got the White House and state officials, including Republican governors, all of whom acknowledge the work that is going into this response effort. And on the other side, you've got Trump and the most partisan Republicans in government, including Elon Musk, who's got the media literacy of a Cocker Spaniel spewing disinformation like a fire hose. Which one do you think you should believe? Take all the time you need with that one. It is probably worth noting that when Donald Trump had the opportunity to be the kind of leader he's pretending that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden aren't, this is what he did when he was in office. First, he claimed that he didn't know what a Category 5 hurricane was.
I'm not sure that I've ever even heard of a Category 5. I knew it existed, and I've seen some Category 4s. You don't even see them that much, but a Category 5 is something that I don't know that I've ever even heard the term, other than I know it's there.
Then Donald Trump suggested nuking hurricanes to stop them from hitting the United States. Then he withheld $20 billion in disaster relief from Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria in 2017. And if you're wondering why, the reason is because Puerto Rico is not a red state with electoral votes, meaning there's no electoral benefit for him and his party. But hey, not to worry, because at the end of the day, he threw paper towels at people. So I'm sorry, but if your bar is throwing 6 rolls of bounty at people's faces in the aftermath of a hurricane, then spare me the grandstanding about how this administration isn't doing enough when they've got thousands of people on the ground, are allocating millions of dollars, when governors of both parties are praising the effort, and especially when all you're doing is spreading disinformation and misinformation in service of your political campaign, Donald, you scumbag. As for the rest of the GOP, perhaps heed Joe Biden's warning, buck the trend being set by Mike Johnson in Congress, get the House back into session in Congress, and pass more funding so that when these 1,000-year storms exacerbated by climate change pummel our country every hurricane season, that we actually have all of the resources to take care of all of the people. Republicans love pretending that Joe Biden is giving away money to migrants who are purportedly staying at 5-star hotels, when in reality, it is them who refuse to show up and allocate more funding. Just a hint, it's not Biden who allocates funding, it is Congress. And bills start in the House, and the House is controlled by the GOP. So for those bad faith right-wing provocateurs out there wailing about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris not doing enough, the call is coming from inside the House. Literally. So please, for everybody's safety, ignore the bullshit being spewed by Donald Trump. Ignore the bullshit being spewed by his mouthpieces. It will only make you less safe, less informed, and less prepared. And please know that if you are in harm's way, you will be taken care of, and you should apply for relief funds because the government currently does have enough money. So recognize that there are virtues to having a political party in office that understands the role of government is to help people when they need it. This is when they need it. Do not vote for people who want to tear down the safety net in this country, because no one expects to be next, but it happens every single day, now more than in the past. Watching the circus act that is Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene may sure be entertaining, but look, give them a podcast. But we should have people in office who are competent and who believe in the core functions of government. In the meantime, if you don't want to take my word for it in terms of what's at stake, at least take it from the meteorologists, because generally, the scientists know best.
It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours. I I apologize. This is just horrific.
Before you go, just a quick note, if you'd like to see more of my content, which is always free of advertising, sponsorships, and paywalls, please make sure to subscribe to this channel using the subscribe button right here on the screen. And if you'd like to support my work even further, you can grab a copy of my instant #1 New York Times selling book, Shameless, available for sale right now. That link is also on the screen. Thanks so much for watching.